All right, Nick, let's talk about the Michigan Wolverines. We've talked about them a lot. There's a lot of good stuff going on for Michigan this offseason. A lot of noise as well, but I think they're going to be able to break through the noise with all of the talent that is on this team. Even though they lost some talent at some key positions, there's already guys lined up ready to take over and have a breakout year and be the next big star at key positions. There's one guy in particular we're going to love to cover today. We're going to get into all that in just 1 second here, but first, I'm Andrew, that's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, Michigan lost a lot of star talent. A lot of guys went to the NFL. A lot of guys went high in the NFL draft, but their one guy in particular already lined up to be the next guy in a very crucial role, and that's on the defensive line for the Michigan Wolverines. Let's get into the article, and we get into some data on the other side. This is from over on Wolverines Wire. It says ESPN put together its list of best college players at their position in order to preview the 2026 NFL Draft, and the only Wolverine who made that list was Rod Moore. Yet even they acknowledged they didn't really know what to do with Benny, talking about Rashawn Benny. Player outside of the top 5 to watch, Rashawn Benny, Michigan. Another year, another Wolverines defensive lineman to watch, 6'4", 296-pound Benny will be tasked with replacing first-rounder Mason Graham, as we alluded to, lost a lot of guys in the NFL, but the fifth-year senior only had 1.5 sacks last season as a rotational player, but has breakout potential, and he ended the season playing his best ball. That's very true. Sharing Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week honors after helping Michigan upset Ohio State. And I don't think that, just at the end of the year he played his football, Benny has been getting better each and every year he has been with Michigan. And the one thing I think is the most interesting is sometimes when these guys are in rotational roles or limited snap counts, you see maybe a little bit of a pop. You see a big grade because it's limited data, limited snap count. Not a lot of people are seeing him. That's not the case here with Rashawn Benny. This is a guy, the more snaps he gets, the better he got throughout the years. So let's look at our first chart here, just showing snaps played for Benny and just overall defensive grade. I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff here. You look back all the way in 2021, very few snaps played for Benny, almost negligible. I think about 20 snaps. Then go 2022. This is a guy just under 150 snaps played. 2023, just under 225 snaps played there for Benny. Then look at 2024, a guy just under 300 snaps played. So each year, more and more snaps for Benny, more and more play time. But you look at his overall defensive grade on the right-hand side, and you can see it correlates. The more snaps he gets, the better he was as a player. Started out in that 50s range, gets up to 70s one year, a little bit of a dip to 69, but then finally when he gets the most play time, up to close in the 80 range there, his final year, doing a lot of really good stuff for the Wolverines, the more and more snaps he was able to play. But that's not all. Let's look at our second graph here, showing Benny's improvement as far as the things that count, the big plays, the pressures, the stops they're able to make. And Benny does a lot of really great stuff there as well. You look at 2021, you might not be able to see that color on this graph because he didn't get any pressures or any stops back in 2021. In 2022, this guy got 5 pressures. In 2023, he got 6 pressures. But in 2024, that number jumps all the way up to 15 pressures for Benny, really exploding onto the scene, doing a lot of great stuff. And you got to remember, this is behind some really talented defensive linemen as well. So being able to prove yourself, show it in those situations, I think is really important. And then we look at the stops again, 0 stops 2021. In 2022, 5 stops for him. Jump up a little bit in 2023, 15 stops. Then again in 2024, 17 stops for Rashawn Benny. I think this guy, the improvement that he makes every year, the more play time he gets, it seems the better that he gets. I think we're going to see some big things from him. I think overall grades improving. Obviously, more play time he gets, the more snaps he's going to get under his belt. But I think if you really key in on 2023 and 2024 years that he had a similar amount, over 200 snaps each year, it shows he was improving each and every year. The amount of pressure, 6 in 2023 to 15 in 2024, a huge jump with very minimal snap increase. Then look 2023, and stops, and again, another increase there as well. So Rashawn Benny really is a guy that I think when they say this is a player to watch, a potential breakout star for the Wolverines, I think he's the next guy up. He's going to be the next big time Michigan defensive lineman. Curious what your thoughts are on this one, Nick. But before we get to you, Wolverines fans, in the comment section below, we're talking about defensive linemen for this team. You had a couple of great ones just leave. Let's take a second to reminisce, think back through history. Who's your favorite Wolverines defensive lineman of all time? A lot of great options, a lot of great answers out there. Be a little bit creative. It's hard to, there's a great amount of recency bias here, some great options to pick. But let us know throughout history who's your favorite Wolverines, defensive lineman of all time in the comment section below. But enough from me, Nick. I know you got some great stuff. What are your thoughts on the improvement and just everything possible with Benny here for the Wolverines?
So I think the emergence and the reliance on veteran guys that have slowly and methodically worked their way through the program and figured out the system and got better and improved and ironed out some issues and earned their playing time, even though it's very late in their careers, and allowing them to flourish in those opportunities. That's what makes championship programs. That's what makes championship cultures. What happens a lot in college football, and I played D1 AA, FCS level football, small time, but still, it's the same kind of effects happen there as it does across a lot of major college football programs, is that there are always guys like Benny who spend a couple years limited playing time, that they come in at whatever recruiting level, they work their way up. There's someone better on the roster. They third string because there's two great guys in front of them, and then second string because there's one great guy in front of them. And by the time it's their era to shine, it's their season to emerge as a starter, bad programs to losing programs, they fall in love with the shiny new toy. There's a freshman on campus, there's a transfer on campus. It's a new guy. So they give the new guy a lot of reps, a lot of opportunity, a lot of publicity, a lot of focus. And this is what losing programs do. They fall victim to the new guy fallacy. I witnessed it myself, not with me, but with other players. I can tell you, guys that I played with that were good football players that worked their way through the process, redshirted their freshman year, a little bit of playing time their sophomore year, not really that much, but getting better and better in the weight room, in the program, learning the offense, defense, special teams, whatever it may be. And then their junior year, they get some playing time in some certain situations. They're doing good things. They do great in spring ball. They got an all conference guy in front of them. That all conference guy graduates. It's their time to shine. And then what do you know? It turns out there's some big freshman recruit that comes in, and is suddenly all the coaches care about this new freshman. They give him a lot of carries, a lot of tackles, a lot of pass rush snaps, whatever it may be, a lot of targets if they're receiver. Well, they give him a lot of playing time and give a lot of options, a lot of different ways to excel. And they have this other guy that's worked through the process, that's been a 100% team guy, culture guy the entire time, and then they pull the rug out from underneath them and hand it over to the shiny new toy. And look, I can say I was part of a losing program. Of the 4 seasons I was there, we had 3 losing seasons, right? The one season we didn't. We were a little bit above 500. We didn't do anything special that year. That's the reality of it. I don't mean anything bad against the coaches or the players I played with. Lord knows I was not a good football player, so I'm not trying to say like I was a star. I was a bench warmer and deserved it. My point is that there is a clear difference between how winning in championship programs and cultures, i.e., Michigan, and non-winning programs and cultures like the ones I had played with, and the vast majority of programs across the country, from D3 to Big Ten, they have the shiny new toy fallacy when it comes to recruits, when it comes to transfers, when it comes to player development. They have a guy that's been in the program for years, and they're just like, he's just a good guy. He's a backup. He's always been a backup, right? He'll always be a backup. We won't give him opportunities. Let's throw in the freshman. Let's see what the freshman does. And that loses people in the program. You lose faith. People don't want to work. You have problems with transfers. It creates all kinds of issues, right? I truly believe one of the big reasons why NIL and the transfer portal has exploded is because a lot of college coaches, a lot of staffs across the country have decided that if a player isn't a starter by the time their freshman season is over, they're not worth getting starting reps anymore. So they move on to freshmen. So these other guys, the heck, I might as well go somewhere else, right? Michigan, and there are other programs. I don't want to say it's just Michigan, but Michigan has done a great job building a developmental culture. Goes back to Harbaugh, and Sharon Moore has continued it. Listen, if you're not a starter year one, that's okay. Spend your time. Not a starter year two, that's okay. Spend your time. You're not a starter year three, that's okay. Eventually, it will be your time to shine. You may not even be a starter, but you'll get a lot of playing time. You'll get a lot of reps. You'll be put in a position to help this team win if you buy in, if you believe, if you continue to get better, which is exactly what Benny has. You brought up the numbers, his raw data. I think what's very interesting to me is that if you look at his snap count, his senior season, this is what jumps out to me, is that he got more playing time the bigger the matchup. Alabama was his most snaps in the bowl game, 44. His second most snaps, Oregon, 37. How about his third most? Ohio State, 32. Right. This is a guy in the big moments last year. The Michigan coaching staff relied on him to get more snaps, more opportunities. Obviously, the bowl game had a few different things coming into the factor in terms of what players were playing, what was going on there, looking to the future, all that kind of stuff. But the reality is the Michigan coaching staff trusted him after years of buying into the program, and they will continue to trust him going forward. And this is what separates programs like Michigan versus programs that treat it completely different. You don't get veterans that buy in. You get like the old Kentucky Wildcat basketball. We get a lot of freshman guys that are stars waiting to go to the NBA, never win a title, never make a deep postseason run, never make it to the Final Four. They don't have the culture. They don't have the teamwork. They don't have the camaraderie. How does a Michigan team last year, without the firepower of Ohio State, Ohio State won the national championship. How do they beat Ohio State? This is why. You have culture guys, you have locker room guys, you have developmental guys. Rashawn Benny, I'm expecting big things from him this season, but across the board, this is just a phenomenal example of why Michigan will continue to excel with this new era they're in right now. It started with Harbaugh. It's transferring over to Sharon Moore. Benny will have a great season. He's got a bright future, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal prospect. But I think this is just another indication of the really solid culture and really outstanding program they have in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, Nick, and I think you bring up some great points and, covered a lot. I don't have a ton to add, but I think there's something important here is just this is a team, is like you said, this is how championship teams are made. And this is the difference of why a guy that would be, a developmental guy, maybe has good physical tools in high school coming out, really good player, fringe guy that maybe not quite the superstar, maybe not quite high level 4-5 star guy, would look at Michigan and say, hey, they have guys like that in place right now. I don't want to go here. I want to go to Utah. I want to go to another smaller school that I can go to and start right away. Or do I want to go to the school like Michigan where I don't need to be able to start year one to show that I'm a good player, to be put in a position to give me high draft ranking, to make my name for scouts and be able to go to the NFL. I can go to Michigan. I can sit a year, I can sit 2 years. In this case, I could sit for 4 or 5 years and be able to come out on top and show myself as the number one guy and show my stuff. So I think this is where Michigan shines. Like you said, this is a team set up well, great culture, great championship culture here, great developmental culture showing, hey, guys, you want to come to Michigan, you don't have to start year one. We've got a lot of great talented guys that popped out after 4 or 5 years, 1 year, and then gone on to do big things. I think Rashawn Benny's the next guy in that long guy of players here, and I think we're seeing something special going on here for the Wolverines.